Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today's guest, Christopher David, is a rising influencer as well as actor, book writer, dad, fitness trainer. This guy does it all. Anyway, Christopher, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? What's up, bro?
So today we're going to talk about Christopher's background and how we got there. And you know what we always talk about with regards to the Tough Love Podcast is dealing with adversity and getting there. Christopher, let's start a little bit and talk about the book. And I know we just talked about it offline, but bring to the audience what that was all about.
So I was married. I was in an abusive marriage. Most guys don't talk about it. Being in a situation where they're the ones getting abused, it's something that is definitely looked down upon and frowned upon. Like, you figure guys like us, right? Like freaking, I started bouncing when I was 17. I started doing martial arts when I was 13. Started working out when I was 13. Throwing out guys out of bars twice my size. For me to go tell somebody that, a woman that's 5'4" is punching me in the face every day and doing some horrible things is demeaning. Either way you look at it, right? Because if I tell a guy, he's gonna tell me, "Oh, fucking just put her in place." If I tell a girl, then I'm a bitch, right? You kind of lose your man card in a way, So So I went through this really bad divorce. Where I lost everything, in my divorce. I lost my house, and I had 2 dogs that died in a matter of me losing in the time frame that I was losing my house. I had 2 dogs die that were both I raised from puppies.
It was like you were living a country song.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. No, absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Like Morgan Wallen was.
Dude, I literally, she left me. I worked for her dad. Her dad laid me off. I go home realizing that, and then I see that none of my bills have been paid. Like I let her handle all my bills. So none of the bills have been paid. Rent hasn't been paid in 3 months. Electric hasn't been paid in 3 months. Phone bill hasn't been paid in 3 months. And I'm like, wow, man, like, what am I going to do? I was 41 years old, 40 years old. And I'm like, oh my God, like my whole life is over. And I was in a really dark spot, man. And I turned to drugs and alcohol. Tried to suppress the pain. At the same time, I was having suicidal thoughts. There was a moment where I had it planned. I thought maybe. And you
had kids. You got 2 sons at that time.
Yeah, I got
right?
2 sons, man. They're my heroes, bro. They're the ones that got me the Superman necklace. You know what I mean? They're my heroes, bro. Freaking, because they were the ones that
they were the reason, right? They
yeah, dude. I gave my son an action figure, a Superman action figure. Like I was gonna leave, right? So my goal was like I didn't have anywhere to go, right? All I had was my car and this one dog that I hated, dude. I bought it from my ex-girlfriend, and he was a pain in the ass. He was always up my face, freaking just always like, But he was the only dog I had left, and I had him since he was 6 months old. I went to my youngest son, and I gave him a Superman action figure. I had Clark Kent on one side and Superman on the other. And as I'm having these thoughts, these dark thoughts in my mind, man, he looks at it and he goes, "Dad?" And I was like, "Wow, those huge shoes to fill, bro." You know what I mean? Like, you're your kid's first hero. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I went back. I'm sitting in my car at a Walmart. It was January 17th. I'm sitting in a car, snowing outside, and I'm contemplating what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, And the dog knocks a book that I got when I was 17 from one of my martial arts instructors called The Power of Movement by Bob Klein. And it helped me with my temper. When I was 17, I had a really bad temper. And it helped me with my temper. And so the book landed in my lap. And it talks about depression, right? How depression is because you're living in the past, and how anxiety, you're living in the future, right? And you're robbing yourself of the one thing you truly have, which is right now, which is the present, And so it also talks about how we have a spirit mind. How we have this, we were talking about off the show.
Yeah, about
how
subconscious, right?
Yeah, the subconscious, right? Like we have 2 voices in our head usually, right? We usually have our ego mind, which is the one we listen to on a daily basis. It's the one that tells us to buy things. It's the one that tells us to, do more reps and stay in this conformed box. And then we have the spirit mind, the conscious, that makes us feel uncomfortable, right? It gives us thoughts and ideas where we're like, man, I don't know, that sounds crazy, right?
Yeah, that's where we grow, right?
Yeah, but it's real. It's a real thing, man. And when you listen to it, dude, things change. So at that moment, I decided that my kid deserved better, right? Like no matter what I thought in that moment, what kind of example did I want to leave my kids? Did I want to leave them a coward? You know, because even though I wouldn't be here, say I did that to myself, I took myself out, right?
Without doubt.
And
that went through your head, and you know that's a big thing. You know, I always tell people, so that did go through your mind.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I planned it.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to do it, that it would be less impactful on the people I cared about.
Understood.
You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
I was there. I was totally living there. And here's the thing I learned too, and I've had people that did that I was really mad about. I was really upset with them for doing it, right? I thought it was fucking selfish, you know? Yeah. But then, you know, when I was in that moment, I realized what I was thinking was what would be best for everybody that cared about me. I felt like a burden, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you know, it would be easier if I wasn't here, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, in that moment, I decided that I wanted to be a better example, right? I wanted to fucking, I'm a fighter, bro. I've been a fighter my whole life. Yeah, I've been a fighter my whole life. I'm not a quitter, bro. So I decided at that moment that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to change, I had to kill the old Chris. Hence why I call myself Christopher now. He's dead. Chris is dead, right? I killed him, bro, because he's the one that got me there. You know, he's the one that made the choices that he did to. Listen, my ex-wife had all the red flags on her, bro. Like, literally, it was a walking huge.
Well, you told me she actually came out of rehab.
Yeah, right? yeah.
So that might have been a.
But I didn't know that.
If I was your big brother, I probably would have warned you then. I'm like, look, bro, she's hot and has money.
Meeting her at a bar, man, was probably my first thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, she had multiple red flags. You know, and so did I. Like, we were both. You know, when you're sick, you attract sick.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You know, we were both fucking.
It was an explosion.
Yeah, it wasn't just her. It was both of us. You know what I mean? And but yeah, so I decided in that moment that I was going to do something I never did. I'm going to listen to that voice. What do I got to lose? You know what I mean? I don't have anything.
Like,
everything I was in the fucking car with the dog. You know, and my parents.
And the dog you don't like.
Yeah, the dog I don't like, right? And my parents freaking, you know, they cared so little that when they knew I was leaving, they gave me dog food. I had $300 in my pocket.
Like, peace out.
Peace out. They're like, oh, well, here's food for the dog. You know, make sure the dog's okay. You sure you want to leave him? I'm like, nah. I looked at the dog. I thought about it. I was like, my parents take great care of the dog. And I looked at him. I was like, you know what? And he's looking up at me now. I had him last out of the three, right? So the only thing the dog's ever known was me. If I leave him, I abandon him just like everybody's abandoned me, bro. Everybody. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, man. And it was the smartest choice I ever made because that dog saved my life, bro. Freaking, like, dead serious. If it wouldn't have been for that dog, I would have been some crazy white old dude walking around homeless, you know what I mean? But that dog, it let people feel comfortable come talk to me, you know? So I took that journey. I left, man. I left. I had this urge to go to Key West. And it was a 6 months trip. I did 68,000 miles. I hiked, you know, freaking probably over 1,000 miles and all that. And every single time I had a moment where I
kind of slowly finding yourself.
Yeah, dude. You know, everybody looks at it like it was a vacation. Oh my God, it's amazing you did that, Pop. No, dude, it was one of the hardest things I ever fucking did. I was scared to death.
Yeah.
I was 40 years old with no game plan.
Yeah.
No game plan. You know what I mean? I lost everything. You know, freaking, there I am thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, I should be at home getting a job. I should be fighting for my kid. I should be doing all this stuff that normal people would be doing. What the norm would be, right? Would be what everybody
normal's boring, right?
Yeah, what everybody expects me to do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody expects me to get a job, just a quick job, you know, find a place to live, get my shit back together, right?
Yeah.
But again, does that really fix anything?
Yeah.
It didn't. I was broken. I had to fix me, right? If I was going to do anything to be able to be a father to my kids, I had to fix me.
You needed a reset.
Yeah, I had to reset, man. And so, like, you know, so I ended up at Key West. I'm out. I talked to this girl at this kiosk. She asked me why I was there. I was looking for coupons for a cheap hotel room because I got $300. Oh, and I had $280 in my pocket, you know, left over, right? And my unemployment didn't kick in for another week. And I told her, I said I lost everything by divorce, and I don't know why I'm here. I just felt the urge to be here, like I needed to be here. And I was listening to the Laws of Attraction and the Moses Code on the way down. She went inside and made a phone call. And she got me a room in Key Largo on the water for $80 for 3 nights. For all 3 nights, $80, right? I'm like, holy shit. So I went and got this hotel room. I'm standing there with my dog, looking at this fish that I've only seen in aquariums, you know what I mean? And this lady comes out and starts petting my dog. And she asked me why I was there. I said, I don't fucking know. I said, I have no clue, man. I said, I had the urge to be here. And
it's like regarding Henry.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So she makes a phone call, gets me a place to eat. It's 35 minutes away from where we're staying for free. Take my dog. I was like, all right, cool. Take my dog, dude. It's on the water. It's like on the bay part.
Isn't it amazing that when you're in that empty, like, lost space and people can genuinely tell?
Oh, yeah.
They'll help?
Well, it's amazing to me how what do you call it? The universe, you want to call it the God? puts people in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
Like that was really.
But you weren't looking for anything from them. It wasn't like you and I, like, listen, we're fit people. We can kind of go and make our way through a crowd. It wasn't that. They could tell. They're like, wow, this guy is really,
broken.
He's
broken, bro.
Yeah.
So then I go to the freaking restaurant, and part of the old Chris's problem was he took placebos, right? He did quick fixes, whether it be drugs, alcohol, sex. Those are my three vices, right? Those are my things to get past the trauma. Oh, you want to dump me? Fuck you. I'll go find somebody better than you, and I'll fuck the hell out of them. Oh, you think that freaking,
And just kept moving. And
just keep moving, man. Just keep moving. Like I'll freaking
a new vice and just keep going.
Just keep going, man, and just numb it, right? So I'm sitting at the restaurant, and these two Belgian stewardesses come up to me, man, hot, and they're like, "Yo, you don't have to go back to your hotel room. You can stay with us." And blah blah blah. And my first thought was like, "Man, I've never been to Belgium, and I love waffles." I was like, this can work out. You know what I mean? But then I'm like, fuck. I was like, the old Chris would do that, right? That's what I would do. And this whole point of this journey is to kill me, kill that Chris, right? And so I said no. I went back to the hotel room. That morning, I get a knock at the door, and the same lady that was there the day before, sent me to the restaurant, comes over. She's got breakfast for me, and she goes, "Hey, listen, I just want to tell you, I read the same books." She goes, "My husband, and her husband owns the hotel. They live in a houseboat right there, right?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "You know why you're here?" She goes, "Because the equator runs close to here. So your energy is off, and you're trying to realign it. And now doing martial arts for years, like that made sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Like fucking, like that makes sense. Like,
my reset your chi.
Reset my chi. Like my energy's completely off, right?
Yeah.
So I hung out there. She got me a job and everything, dude. Renting jet skis for $100 a day, dude. Freaking let me stay at the hotel the whole night.
Easy,
yeah, dude. So I stayed there for like 2.5 weeks, and then I realized, man, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is easy.
Yeah.
This is easy, bro. You know what I mean?
She saw you, and and listen, you're easygoing. You're a good dude. And kind of drawing. It's funny. Our podcast, I started this podcast because I was in it in a similar way, full on breakdown.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And, I called it tough love because all the stuff, paralyzed, fractured skull, broken back, stomach surgery, knee surgery, they didn't even scratch the surface. As athletes, and you got hurt, you just, like, if we were brothers, I'd be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You're like, good, bro. But when I went through the chaos and the dismay and then the affair and everything that I went through, I was broken. Yeah. And when I walked in here that day,
being emotionally broken is a lot harder than being physically broken.
Unbelievable.
I would rather break every bone in my body than have my heart broken.
And it was crazy because the thing about it is, much like yourself, I hurt everybody.
Yeah.
And when you're a person that's treated at that point, probably 18,000, 20,000 patients, if you walk through here like, man, he knows everybody as Dr. O'Connor, like you couldn't make it up the level of just a fuck up that I felt.
Yeah.
And, so I kind of buried myself in fitness, and this fitness competition I'm doing in 4 weeks, that's been alcohol-free, discipline, because the fact that you said it, and I'm laughing right now, and Andy, what's up, big dog? I hired Andy Elliott as a business coach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
nice.
The amazing thing is his book is Total Recreation. Really? Kill the old you.
Kill the old you. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
And
that's what it is. Kill the old you, man. You can't sit there and expect a different outcome when you don't change, right?
Yeah, it's the definition of insanity,
right? It's the definition of insanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And and that was something that I thought was great. And I know we talked about it, and I was excited to have this podcast today because I think the one thing is, and I think you experienced it right there, and I said it earlier, when you get someplace comfortable, it doesn't mean it's the right place. Yeah. It's the easy place.
It's the easy place. And then you stop growing. So that's why I use fitness as an example, right? So because the whole reason working out works, the reason we're able to mold our bodies is because we're causing stress. We're put in an uncomfortable position to make it adapt, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's really the epitome of the journey, right? I had no game plan. I made, if I want to make a right, I made a right. If I made a left, I made a left.
It was going.
Just going, dude. I literally had no game plan where I was going to end up at.
You're like Christopher in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, right, dude. Road. Right. So, and then every single time.
Where'd you go from Florida?
So I went from Florida. I went to Louisiana. I was in Louisiana. I was in New Orleans for a day.
Yeah, I was just say that could have went sideways quick. You knew better to get out of there.
So I was not a good place to stay sober. So I left there. I ended up in Alabama. Stayed at this campsite that wasn't open yet. These two lesbians let me stay there for free. Freaking, I helped them clean up the park that next day, because that was the other thing I was going to do on this trip too, right? Is I was going to pay it forward. If I saw somebody who needed help, no matter what it was,
you were jumping in.
I was jumping in and helping, right? And everybody's like, oh man, that's a very unselfish thing for you to do. But I'm going to be honest with you.
You needed it.
It's the most selfish thing you possibly do is helping somebody else. It really
100%.
is. Because it's not about them giving you any kind of gratitude. It's you feel better about yourself. Like you actually did something to make a difference, right? So I helped them that day. And then I ended up in Colorado. I ended up in Colorado Springs.
Amazing spot. I love Colorado.
Dude, so picture this.
The people are so different there.
Oh my God. So I go from Key West, New Orleans, Alabama in 3 days in Colorado, right? I see this huge hill, Manitou. I open the window, I see this trail. I look at my dog, I'm like, oh, that's what we're doing. We're going up this fucking mountain. That's what the fuck we're doing today. Yeah. Didn't think about the altitude at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, how'd that go?
Dude, everything was on fire. My lungs were on fire. My legs were on fire. It took me 2 hours to do this trail up in Manitou, right? Yeah. This Chinese girl passed me 3 fucking times. Literally ran by me.
You're like, oh my God.
Dude, I looked at her, I'm like, are you done? I'm like, because you're killing me right now. She's like, oh no, you're doing a great job. I was like, no, I'm not. But I got to the top. And I at that moment, I was like, you know what? No matter what I do on this trip, I'm coming back here and I'm destroying this fucking trail. Like I'm destroying it. I'm going to use it as a metaphor for my life, as me conquering that fucking mountain. You know
Sometimes
what I mean?
You got to go back to something that wasn't your weak, make your weakness your strength.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I decided from there on out that everywhere I went, I was running. Every time I got into a new state, I was running 5 miles, running, I ended up in Colorado. I ended up in Arizona, Sedona, Arizona. This is 2.5 months into my trip. And my ex-wife is messaging me telling me I'm a coward. My family's not talking to me. Freaking, I have people that are on Facebook that are talking shit to me. Saying, "Oh, freaking Chris is a coward. He's freaking run away from his problem." You know what I mean? And so I'm at this.
Have you reconnected with your family? Have you made peace with them at this point, almost 10 years later?
Yeah. So it was funny about that. It was my book, right?
Yeah.
So I come from an abusive family. My stepdad was really rough on me. My father really wasn't there. My mom worked all the time. I was sexually molested by a family member when I was younger. She took advantage of me. She was a lot older than me. Freaking, and then all this stuff. And my family was never there to have my back on any of it. None of it, dude. In fact, they helped try to destroy my marriage. So it was a lot. It was
coming from every direction.
It was coming from every direction. That's why I felt like I didn't matter. Like I felt like what the hell am I doing?
Who's missing you anyway? Yeah.
Yeah. Who's missing me anyway, right? But I'm in Sedona and I'm doing sword katas right on top of this mountain. I'm doing these sword katas, right? I'm flipping this sword up in the air and I drop it and it goes down the side of this cliff. And I look over and there's a Buddhist temple with a bunch of shirker prayer flags hanging from it in the middle of the fucking desert. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
do you think you got into like a mushroom patch or something? Right, like, is this really?
I'm like, what the hell is that
really there?
So yeah, dude, it was out of nowhere, right?
Like you didn't get one of the monks.
So I go down there. I'm like, maybe this is why I'm here, right? I'm listening to inner spirit. It brought me here, right?
Yeah.
So again, this is 2.5 months into my trip. I go down there. I burn some incense, walk around, spin the wheels, do the whole prayer thing, I come back around and there's this lady sitting there, dude, looking all majestic, like back straight, looking like something you would see in a movie, wearing a whole garb thing and a whole nine. My dog goes over and starts peeing on the bench right next to her. I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I go right over and I'm like, yo, cut it out,
Yeah, it's like the scene from Doctor Strange where he comes in and blows up the spot with all the 3,000-year-old monks.
Right? So freaking, I go to where I go, I'm so sorry, I apologize. And right at that moment, I lose it. I start crying. I start bawling my eyes out like a fucking baby, bro. In front of this lady. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what came out. I have no idea why. I'm like, I don't know what happened right now, but I'm sorry. And I gotta go. And she goes, no. She grabs my hand, pulls me in, sits me down. And she goes, no, tell me what brought you here. I said, I don't fucking know, man. I said, I really have no clue what brought me here. I was like, I lost everything and I'm trying to fix myself and I'm trying to become a new person, is what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to kill the old Chris and become something better so I can go back and win my family, is what I thought, And she looks at me, dude. She looks at me dead in the face. She goes, oh, I'm going to give you a little secret. I'm going to tell you something. She goes, I was actually supposed to be in Phoenix, Arizona. I was supposed to be there today. And something told me not to go. Something told me to come here, that I needed to be here. And I think it was to meet you. Swear to God. So it gives me goosebumps, bro. Freaking. She goes, I think it was to meet you. She goes, I'm a shaman. And she goes, you know what drew you here? She says, right here there's a vortex. And your energy is off. And you're here to rely on it. And I think I'm here to tell you that you're on the right path. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was like, holy fuck. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm going to throw it at you. The funniest is this. My buddy that overdosed, that I went to chiropractic school with, and thank God he's alive and he's doing well and he's thriving and it's hard. Like I try to explain to him reading the book from Ed Milet, like The Power of One More.
Yeah.
And, and I loved it because I got to see Ed Milet speak live. And he was talking about his father. And he said, listen, Ed, I can't promise you that I'll be sober. But I'll be sober today, and and I'll one more day, right? And that's I think their thing is just one more day today.
One more day,
right?
One more day today, right?
And I'm always on his ass. And the funny thing you said, Vortex, when he was really lost right before he overdosed himself, he must have ran into some really spiritual people out there because Arizona definitely is that way, right? And so he would be going on these rants at 4:00 in the morning, blowing us up, which is 7. So I'm already up for 2-3 hours, but I'm working out. He's up from the night before and he's preaching about the vortex. I'm like, brother, and he's like my baby brother. He's like maybe a year younger than you. And I'm like, you're lost in the vortex. You don't know what state you're in right now. Meaning confusion. You're lost. There's so many drugs coming in you. And as much as I love you, I can't help you. You're beyond my reach. I can't crawl into your soul and pull that out. You got to want it. And he killed himself. And he came back and he's back. But literally he was out. Wow. And they're like, we don't know. They had to hit him with so many drugs to bring him back. Like one of those scary things that I always said, I'm like, he's like a cockroach. Like he's so hard to kill.
Right?
I'm like, you did so many drugs. You're resistant to
somebody
drugs.
like that, they're here for a reason, right? They just don't realize it yet. You know
and
what
now,
I mean?
It's funny that I said to him the other day, he had a momentary lapse. And I said to him, I was like, I didn't share with you during your overdose everything that was going on in my life and the chaos. And again, I hurt so many people that I care about, people that I love, friendships that I ruined and everything. And I said, you know what? I don't care what you call it. The reality is that both of us are basically in the 5th inning of a 9-inning game, right?
Yeah.
I said, I'm down a run or two, but I'll tell you what, when it's all said and done, I'm leaving with the championship ball. I'm taking it. And there is nothing that's going to stop me. And I hope that I can make it right for everybody that was in the wake of the storm that I left behind me. And I said, and he's like, but and the one moment, I'll give you an idea where I said he didn't do the journey you were on. The one day I shared with him and I put them in timeout for like 6 months. I said, man, I'm hurting. And same thing in this. I mean, I don't know how many times I bailed him out from, being fucked up, pulling him out of a bar from our Atlanta grad school days, this and that. And wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
Neither one of these two guys that I basically grew up with in our professional careers. And they both were more resentful because I was always on it, right? Locked in, always, never fucked up, right? They're like, see, like me all waiting for me to fall down. I say, hey guys, if I could tell you anything, the realest motherfuckers are going to be the ones that when I fall down, since it doesn't happen that often, because I never complain about the symptoms of me being paralyzed. I don't complain about fracturing my skull. I don't complain about that shit. I just work through it.
Yeah.
The one time I came to you, you let me stay down.
Yeah.
Let that resonate in your vortex.
Dude, that's like for me, I saw like one of the lessons I learned, right? Help to fight. This for anybody that has depression, right?
Yeah.
If anybody that has depression, one of the things I learned from me is I call it mental kung fu, right? So I would take a picture of me, and because nobody looks at my social media more than I do, right? I would take a picture of me, and I would put something that was inspirational, something I knew that meant something to me, and put it next to that picture and post it. So it was like looking in the mirror, and I was rereading it to myself. Reading it back to myself. You know what I mean? And I would do this, and like I didn't have a following on Facebook. I just didn't document my trip, right? Because God forbid something happened to me, right?
So nobody knew where I was at. You're like,
but my oldest son knew where I was at. But this way, if my oldest kid, both my kids decided they want to take this trip, they want to see the path that Dad took, they can do it. Like I mapped the whole thing out, dude. I even carved their initials in a tree on the top of that mountain in Manitou.
Yeah.
I carved their initials in a tree. So if they ever want to go take the trip, they can say, "Oh, Dad was here." You know what I mean? And because I didn't know if I was going to make it back. I really didn't know.
Yeah, by the way, I could tell. I thought you were more country boy than that. You ran up that hill. And I'm like, the last time I was in a hill, I had a sidearm on and a bow. And we ran into a mountain lineman and like 3 bears. So you're lucky you and the dog made it back down the hill.
I had nothing, dude. I had a wooden katana sword and brass knuckles is what I had with me on this trip, dude. And so the cop took the brass knuckles from me in Arizona. That's a whole other story. Forget it. But yeah, but you go back to the book. So I hiked up California and I ended up in Oregon. My phone went dead. So I went to Best Buy to find out what was going on with my phone. And again, this is 2.5 months after I met this woman in Arizona.
Yeah.
And this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, vegan-looking kid who looked like he never did nothing wrong in his life, bro. Didn't look like he's seen a bad day ever, you know? Goes up to me at Best Buy, and he goes, sir, this is sounding really weird, man. He's like, and again, this is one of those points where I was feeling my lowest, questioning everything I was doing.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing, you know? And this kid comes up to me and goes, this is sounding really weird, man, but God told me to pray with you. Told me that your energy is off, but you're on the right path. So I had 3 people on this trip that told me the same fucking thing, bro. Same thing.
And the best is in those moments, it's funny because I have a guy that stays on me every day.
Yeah.
Because he knew how depressed I was when I got hurt and I was depressed and had it. I mean, I scared the shit out of my parents when my dad called and said, "Are you all right?"
Yeah.
You know, and
it's awesome your parents did that, by the way.
What's that?
It's awesome your parents did that, by the way.
Yeah. A little bit different. My one gave me dog food. You know, it's funny. I always tell people a story. I was in Atlanta and I called my dad in the middle of the night and I had to do a cash drop. And literally, so he's like, "What the hell are you calling for?" And, you know, it was crazy. Like I got chased out of a spot. Like, and again, it had to been a setup. And he was like, "Listen, get your ass to the car, get out of there." Basically, like, keep your head down, don't look back, do not turn around. I was probably 220, 230 pounds. I'm like thinking, I'm going to turn around and fight, realize it was like 8 dudes chasing me across the parking lot. I had a couple 100 yards on them, so I could still move at that point in my life. And I was gone, but I'm like, I look back, and my parents have always been there. And probably since June of last year, my parents' health has been failing. You know, my mom's battling breast cancer. My dad's in advanced stage, like emphysema. And watching them, that they've always kind of held my hand through my lowest points. Like, you know, like you can't make it up. Like I was paralyzed as a teenager and I'd go to put a glass down and I'd miss the damn, you know, the counter.
Yeah.
And my mom, like, you know, and I go to cry because, you know, I was like, you know, get upset because I was like, damn. Dude. And my mom would be like, she'd be on her knees and you know what I mean? And like I had double vision or I had no depth perception and she would just kiss me on the head. She's like, "Hey, be gone tomorrow. Be gone tomorrow." Yeah. And now I look at them and like I text them with that same kind of strength because I'm like, "Hey, you know, when I was sick, you guys never gave me a day off. Yeah. It was always like, hey, keep eating, keep moving. It'll be gone tomorrow." Yeah. And, you know, so I've been blessed that way with my parents. They're hard people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
well, go back to your question. Yeah. Right? We talking about how have I reconnected with my family. So I wrote the book. Yep. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody, dude. Because honestly,
your family.
No, I didn't tell anybody, dude. So I literally wrote the book, and because I felt like I be honest, dude, it took me 6 years to write the book, and I was like, who the fuck wants to read this? It sounds like a goddamn car crash, bro. Like freaking, like this is far from a Disney movie, right? Yeah. And I'm like, who wants to read this depressing shit? And then I finished it and I put it out, and I really didn't expect it to go anywhere. So the reason I named the title, it was never just about me, the journey to save my life, because when I got done doing the trip, I realized that my story is everybody's story. Yeah. Everybody's story, dude. Everybody has that same struggle. Everybody has is the same awakening path they have to go on. The self-realization of self-love, right? Everybody has to do it. It doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter what nationality.
At some point,
at some point in your life, you have to go through it, right? It's like no different than crawling, walking, and then running, right?
Agreed.
So I thought I'd write the book, and a person that would read it, and they'd be the ones that change the world. They would get inspired, and you know what I mean. So that's why I titled it. It was never just about me. So I wrote the book. My mom got the book. I didn't know she got the book. Now let's keep in mind, I didn't speak highly about anybody in my family, right?
In the book.
So I was honest, right?
You just straight up, like, you weren't embellishing it. No. You were just straight up telling facts.
Telling facts, right? I was just being honest. I didn't talk highly about my mom. I didn't talk highly about my dad, my stepdad.
You kinda,
my sister. I put it out for what it is. It's what my perception of my reality was.
Well, you saw it. And the cleansing trip you went on. So you had a lot of time to reflect on it.
So I get a phone call from my stepbrother, who is exactly like my stepdad. Like, they're two peas in a pot. They can build everything, dude. Savants, geniuses. You want a house built, they'll build the house. You want a car built, they'll build the car. You want a whole barn built, dude, they'll build the whole barn. Like they'll put the electric in, everything. Like they're
just can do it.
They can do it, right? They can do it. And I always and my stepbrother, he's smart, millionaire, genius. I'm a fuck up. You know what I mean? Like I fucked up a lot in my life, dude. Freaking, it's only been the last like 8 years that things
starting to pick up,
starting to change for me, right? And he calls me, and he goes, Chris, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's Jeff. And I'm like, Jeff who? It's how long since I've talked to him, right? And he goes, your brother. And I was like, oh fuck.
You're like, did mom die? Did somebody die?
I was like, what's up? He's like, well, mom gave me your book. And I was like, oh no. I was like,
you buried me on page 32.
I was like, fuck, Jeff's gonna lay into me, bro. And he said to me, he goes, I just want to say I'm sorry. Yeah. He goes, I knew you had it bad. I didn't realize how bad you really had it, Chris. And he goes, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. And he goes, your mom and your sister hate the book. They, they turned my grandmother against me. I tried to get my grandmother the book, and my grandmother looked at me and she goes, I don't read. And some things should be left unsaid. I loved my grandma. That was the last time I talked to her, dude. And I realized that moment.
Has she since passed?
Yeah, she's since passed. Yeah. And I realized at that moment that I'm not responsible, for making them be better people. You know what I mean? Like, if they're toxic, they're toxic. They are who they are, right? So on the flip side of all that, as much as they got mad at me, now my mom, let's just go to the present. My mom has made more of an effort now. Not on my stepdad's bad, so we've amends. Even when my stepdad before he passed, we had an amendment, right? So things aren't like that now, right?
Got it. It's improved.
But then my father and my real father and my aunt got the book, and I didn't know they got the book, and they reached out to me and they both apologized. Even though I don't blame them. Listen, there's one thing I learned, especially being an adult. We all do the best we can. There's no fucking handbook, right? There's nobody fucking telling you the right decision to make. We are all creatures of mistakes. We're perfectly imperfect, and as much as we want to point the finger, here's the biggest thing, all right? Not to jump around, but the biggest thing I've learned, and the biggest thing that help anybody, if you guys take anything from this, anything at all, the biggest thing I learned, man, is if you want to be sober, if you want to be better, and you want to have that balance in your life, you need to love your fucking mistakes as much as you love the things you did right. Right? So all those things, the biggest thing you have to do to get sober is, yes, the trauma happened. The abuse happened, right? It was unfair. It was fucking bullshit. You didn't deserve it. You're absolutely fucking right in all those feelings. What you did, though, after that, it's totally 100% your responsibility. Right?
And it'll define you.
And it'll define you. So as much as you go, man, I'm going to drink another beer. I'm going to fuck another person. I'm going to do another line. I'm going to do all this shit because I'm hurt inside. I'm feeling pain.
But you're going nowhere.
You're going nowhere, man. You have to stop that, because the more you do that to yourself,
keep digging that hole.
You keep digging that hole, bro. You keep losing a piece of yourself because literally what ends up happening is you feel guilty. I don't give a fuck who you are. You feel guilty. You might say, oh, man, I had a great time last night. Somewhere in the back of your conscience, you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have did that, man.
And what's scary, it's funny, I have interviewed some serious celebrities, and all of them have some darkness in them.
Oh yeah.
And the funny thing about it is, when you see, and they're blessed because it's amazing how you get a pass when you're a superstar, an athlete, whatever. But when you're not, it could really go bad.
Oh yeah.
And that emptiness, a lot of people don't have that courage to get through. Like, listen,
it's absolute courage, bro.
If we put 1,000 guys in that same situation, I'm going to say 900 don't come home.
No. Well, that was the thing about my brother, right? So my brother said to me, he goes, Chris, I really admire you, man. You're fucking, I wish I was like you.
Yeah. Meaning dead.
I was like, what do you mean you wish you were like me? Dude, you have 2 properties worth over $3 million a piece.
Yeah.
You are set for the rest of your life. Yeah, dude, he has every muscle car you could possibly imagine, bro. Like, freaking, I'm going back to 1800 cars. You know what I mean?
He's just
got everything.
Just his thing.
And he's like, man, I wish I was like you, dude. It took so much courage to do what you do, and I don't have the balls to do what you did, bro. I was like, man, I told him, I was like, it wasn't balls, bro. It was a choice. Die or live. That was my option, bro.
And you left to live.
I left to live. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, it wasn't like I wanted to do any of that, dude. I didn't do any of it, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did all of it.
What would you tell the audience now? Here it is, almost 9 years later. Or I guess, would you left at 40?
Yeah. I was like, it was 8 years. 8 years later.
8 years later? 8 years later, what would be the message in a line or two about when you're feeling hopeless? Because that's where you were, right? You felt hopeless.
Yeah.
What would be something you're like, hey, guys, I was there with 2 kids, a wife that I had to leave, an ex-wife, lost everything. What is it? Like, what's that? What's the hook?
Man, so I would say the hook is, man, is do a little acts of kindness every day, right? Something simple, say hi to somebody.
Yeah.
Say good morning. Little simple acts of kindness, man, go a long way. I think that's one of the things that helped me on my trip is, like I said, I was gonna make sure I help somebody. As much as helping somebody is selfless.
Yeah.
Again, it is the most selfish thing you could possibly do to heal yourself.
It's best therapy.
It's the best therapy, man. It's like that guy, that general that said, when you get up in the morning, make your bed, right?
Love it,
right? So you get up in the morning, make your bed. Well, part of that making that bed is gratitude, right? So be grateful.
They have someplace to sleep.
Yeah, not only that, but you woke up today, right? There's so many other people right now that wish they had the same opportunities you do. And we waste them. We take it for granted, bro. And I tell people all the time, as far as the trainer goes, the biggest, hardest decision you have to make is coming.
Yeah, get here.
Is getting here, bro. Once you get here, the rest is easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. Just make that step. So, one of my quotes, right? What I always say at the end of every my videos is what? I say, I believe in you. I believe in the best in you, man. And I say that because, and I truly believe that. And anybody, I listen, because there's no difference between you, me, camera guy, nobody. Literally, we're all the same. The only choices that we make are our differences. That's it. Is the choices. That's it, right? So make a better choice, and start being grateful that you have that opportunity to make that choice, and move forward with that. And again, if you're depressed, it's because you're living in the past, which you can do nothing about. If you're anxious, it's because you're living in the future, and you're robbing yourself of a gift. The present, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So everything might not be how you want it to be, right? But start off with simple tasks, like the whole making the bed or whatever. But just simple things, and knowledge. Here's the biggest mistake we make as adults, is we stop learning, right? We think we graduate college, we think we got a business, we're making money, that we know it all.
Yeah.
And literally that's when we become stagnant water. Stagnant water is death, right? Bruce Lee said it his best, right? So Bruce Lee said to be the flow. Flowing water brings life. Stagnant water brings death. So the moment you start feeling depressed, you start feeling anxious, is because you stopped growing.
Look at your habits.
Yeah, you stopped growing, man. So do something, learn something.
The one thing that took me into coaching and consulting over the last 2 years was I realized my best time in my life when I was doing what you're doing, but I was training kids.
Yeah.
And now at 50, I was like, you know what? The outside could look like a Ferrari, but the reality is this thing's got a lot of miles on. I can't go up and down the basketball court anymore. And just doesn't work out well the next day when I wake up.
The mind wants to do it, the body's not
body's like,
that.
look, you look good, but don't mess with me because I'll let you know real quick that you're 50. But the reality is that when I went into the coaching consulting, it was exactly what you're saying. Not only, yes, I'm getting compensated, I'm getting paid. But Christopher, when I tell you how rewarding it is to come into people that are getting lost or they are lost. And I'm like, hey, listen, I was there. I have felt pain and again, when you tell them the list of injuries, I'm like, sometimes I'm blown away. I'm like, Jesus, I'm like, I had all that, right? Yeah. And it doesn't even faze me. Yeah. I'm like, but when I hit, 4 businesses going and lost a couple $1 million and then was doing this and then disrupted. I said, my job now is to go into people's offices, like the restaurant guy that comes in and resets the restaurant, or, whoever it is, I think, regardless, there's so many cooking shows, they come in and they try to fix people's broken restaurants. Coming into people that are broken and fixing them is the best therapy I've ever jumped on.
One of the reasons I love my job, right? I posted that video about that guy Chris benching at 225 and then benching 235, right? Yeah. And this goes back to what I was saying about the belief thing, right? So 10,000 steps, right? You become a master, right? 10,000 steps. Like Bruce Lee said, I'm not afraid of the guy who practices 10,000 different kicks. I'm afraid of the guy who practices one kick 10,000 times, right? Yeah. But it's not, everybody thinks, oh man, 10,000 steps, that's huge. That's not the hardest part. The hardest part is believing you can do it.
Without a doubt.
Believing you can take that first fucking step, bro. That's the hardest part, right? But having somebody believe in you, even if they don't know you. Like my followers, man, I got so many freaking followers that follow me, and they literally follow me because of the simple fact that I tell them I believe in them. And they don't even know me, but they know I'm being genuine when I say that shit.
And when you're genuine, it goes so far. One of the things that we talk about with my team that helps put out my podcast is bringing on people and sharing their story, because it's like, I know how genuine I am with working with kids over the years, and I run into them and now they have kids.
Yeah.
And I remember like for me, the funniest is like if I had your son and they were having a bad day or the coach cut him or whatever it was, I'd be like, hey man, let's get some pizza. What do we work out today? Well, we're going to work out.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to smile a little bit.
Yeah, dude. No,
and
absolutely.
They'll see me and like, Doc, remember that time you threw everybody in the Suburban or you threw everybody in the Expedition? I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And they're like, but you remember the reason why? And he's like, I'll get quiet. I'm like, yeah. I got, and to that day.
It's important, man. Especially supposed to be role models, right?
Yeah, it's it.
Unfortunately, in the society,
there's not enough of us.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Especially men, right? Especially alpha men, right? If we can, so having that male figure, especially for young men, is especially a good male role figure, not somebody who's like chauvinistic or anything like that, but a good male role model that sees the balance in life. Is huge, dude. It's huge, and that's one of the things I like to lead by is that example.
I'm gonna hit you with something that makes me super proud to have you on the podcast today. Yesterday, one of my young men that I mentor is a great kid. He graduated high school. My son recently lost his father to suicide.
Oh, sorry.
And I promised him, and I told his dad for his passing that, which was recent, that I'd always kind of help him out with the gym and stuff, and it wasn't really his thing. And I said, I love it.
Yeah.
It's actually like chicken soup for my soul. You know what I mean? Like I
exercise the demons, bro.
Yeah, man. I love working with the kids, and I hadn't seen them. And one of the things that I try to do is send out 5 text messages, a couple times a week to people, just saying thank you,
that's how we do it.
Showing gratitude, and reached out to them and I said, hey, see, we got to get together. I'm on a really restricted diet right now because I got a show in 4 weeks, but let's grab a meal at Cousins. Let's sit down. And you don't realize how you hit people. The bartender served in the military.
Yeah.
Severe depression. Good looking kid, everything going for him. Train wreck. Couldn't get out of the way of himself. And but our society's funny. You look good. No one says anything.
Yeah.
Right? You could be a fuck up, but they're like, but he's a cute kid. Oh, he's got a good job. Oh, he makes a lot of money.
Is that the most ironic part is like I found, and especially with my social media, is that people assume because we look the way we do that we had an easy life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That we got things handed to us. Or we got everything you wanted. And it's I especially in my experience, it's been the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I've had to fight for fucking everything and prove myself twice as much.
How I open up coaching, and I've had the opportunity to speak in front of hundreds of people, and how I open up coaching is, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say, the way I've learned is probably not the most practical as far as attending this school of business or this Ivy League school. I have made every mistake or had every grenade go off under my feet you could possibly imagine. What I realized is if you choose me, you have a David Goggins will behind you. Yeah. And I will not leave you behind. I will make sure you get where you want to go because I have never fucking quit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right?
And I'm looking because I think about it like, have you lost money before? Hundreds of thousands. Have you, I always say, I built out a gym, a rehab center. It was probably a $3 million facility. It was state of the art. The guys filmed it. It was ridiculous. Well, we opened it up, build it out. It's a lease, by the way. I did everything wrong. Yeah. You don't build out someone else's property.
No, you build your own. Yeah, dude.
I could have built it out twice for what I did this, right? So I built this lease. It's stunning. Yeah, COVID hits the next day.
Yeah, you told me about this. Freaking, you lost it all, right?
So now I'm going through everything I'm going through. We're like year 5. The places that making money, we're getting behind. And again, this was a place that when other chiropractors talk, I'm like, look, bud, I don't want to hear what your numbers are.
Yeah.
That space cost me $40,000 a month to be at zero. Right? These are big boy numbers, right? Dude. And as much as I was making individually, I was tapped. It was burning me out.
Yeah.
And so when I'm talking to people, I'm like, you know what? I'm not having a pity party for that. Like, we talked about, right? Yeah. I take a deep breath and say, I am so grateful that I built out Field of Dreams for myself.
Yeah.
I wanted that space to look at and say, I was a kid that came from nothing.
Yeah.
Did I do it exactly right? Nope.
Nah, but you know what, dude?
We did it.
Those things, listen, man, there's people that I don't know, I'd rather fight, man, and struggle and be real than have it handed to me. You know what I mean? I want to say it's mine.
They say, just like the people that win the lottery, right? If 100 guys win the lottery, they say, what is it, like 2 years later, 99 of them are broke again.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have no value.
They have no value in it, dude.
You know?
It's the same as if you get handed stuff here, if you can get free housing or free whatever, people don't usually get that. You don't appreciate it, right? If you can, so when somebody actually works for a house, bust her ass, you can take out a loan out, and fucking do all that stuff, and you know, what I mean, you appreciate that house.
You're sitting there wiping stuff.
Yeah, dude, you know what I mean? You're checking the doorknob and shit, you know.
Yeah, you're making
sure.
Yeah,
dude, freaking, so like, you know, I think work ethic is good, man, and builds character, dude. That's like, you know, like I always tell people, I made a video the other day saying about the lines in my face. I was like, you know, I appreciate my lines. I earned every single fucking one of them, bro. You know, every single fucking one of them, and nobody can take that from me. You know what I mean? Like you know,
I have to say, me dropping for this thing, I chuckled. I'm getting so thin, getting ready for this fitness competition. I looked the other day, I go, I kind of like being 230, Chris. I'm not going to lie, brother.
Who doesn't like being 230? You know what I mean? Get to eat
I was
whatever
like
you
looking
want.
at it, I go, I'm starting to wrinkle up like a prune. So I'm lean, but boy, I think at our age, I think I need to be a little less lines.
Yeah, right, dude. I know, man. I know. Somebody thought I was 72 the other day. I'm fucking 48, bro.
The thing that I would tell you about today's podcast that I think is really going to resonate as this one hits, and the great thing about podcasts, they last forever.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
And they're out there.
Dude, listen, I'm honored you had me on. That's what cool shit, dude. Thank you.
It was very cool. And what this reminded me of is both of us are really kind of in launching grounds. Like, I promised myself and I wrote it down. And like when I do that and I go to that vision board, like The Secret, I'm like 9 for 9, 10 for 10 on that.
Nice, bro.
And I said, by the end of the year, in my space, I will be number 1 in coaching and physical medicine, and I'm there. And,
nice,
and you know, and more importantly, that I hired coaches and I'm investing where I'm putting huge money into it because I realized everybody needs to sometimes lock hands with people.
Oh fuck yeah! Well, listen, here's the biggest thing, man. You want to feel alone, right? Like you're not
and
alone.
If you want to go, you know, it's funny. Like I realize it more as I'm getting older. If you're in a room with 5 losers, you're the 6th loser.
Oh yeah.
And if you're in the room with 6 winners, you're the 7th. You can be the 7th,
right? So if you're hanging out with 5 millionaires, you're gonna be the 6th one, right?
Yeah. And
that's one of the things I learned about being here. If you're gonna be in here at this gym, you know, and me in the same path, dude. The same thing you're saying. I told myself 5 years ago when I started this journey, right? So you know, the book's been out for 2 years now. That I'm gonna do the best I could possibly do to be that superhero that my kid thinks I am, right? So, so in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, Superman, you know, dodges bullets, he flies, right? I can't do either one of those things. I can't block bullets, I can't fly. But what does Superman do better than everybody else? He inspires. He does what's right, even though it's hard, right? Yeah. And I made a choice. I was like, I can fucking do that, man. I can do that, right? So I told myself I'm gonna walk the red carpet. I did that. I told myself that I was make sure my book was number 1. Did that. Freaking, I'm gonna make sure this podcast that I'm doing too is gonna fucking sky launch now, take off. You know, so it's so much about luck, man. It's about work, about manifesting. That thing, manifesting, fucking, is a true thing, bro. Listen, it's a real thing, bro. I literally, when I tell you I'm gonna fucking do something,
it's gonna go.
I'm gonna fucking do it.
And that, again, going back to The Secret, or you know, the 4. It was funny. I was listening to Andy talk the other day on a coaching call. And he said there was a great book, and he was talking about somebody that's already a gazillionaire. And so meanwhile, the coach he was talking about was Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah?
So you're talking about somebody paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it was a person worth hundreds of millions, right?
Yeah.
And came to be, it was McGregor.
Was it really?
Right. And he was struggling because probably you had the pull of being a celebrity and then training to be a fighter, and then you don't know what you want to be anymore. You lose your identity. Being the mauler, being the brawler.
Yeah. Well, right? The ego takes charge, bro. Get lost in the hype.
The book, and again, I'm gonna screw it up, but it was basically like the King, the Joker, the Lover, and one other. But the problem was when you lose it, you realize you become one. Yeah. But those that are great encompass all of them.
Yeah, but dude, it's funny you say that. So I trained this guy, Dr. Rich Medeiros. Shout out Dr. Rich. And I was telling him that my whole life, my whole workout, my whole martial arts has been driven by competition, by fuel for the fire. Like I either want to be better than some guy, or some girl dumped me and I'm going to be fucking better. Ego, right? So I've always been driven by this fire, this internal flame that I push myself. Like you see me, dude. I work out 3 hours a day, almost every day, right? And you know, for me, a month ago, things changed in my life a little bit, and I found myself in this place of peace, first time in my life, where I was like, man, I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm not angry with anybody. I don't want to work out, right? It was weird. I was like, I don't want to work out. I was like, I'm not feeling it, man. And I sat on it. Like I sat on it. I was like, I'm just going to ride this out. Because since May of last year, I'm working out 3 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Just get after it.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what? I just don't have that drive. I don't have that fire in my chest, dude. You know? then I was talking to Dr. Rich about it, and it goes back to what you're saying here about finding that balance, being all three. He goes, Chris, what you need to do is find that beast that's inside you and calmly bring him out when you need him to be. And the first thing that came to my mind was the Avengers movie with the Incredible Hulk.
I'm always angry.
I'm always angry, right? I'm always angry,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, wow. I was like, you know what? He's right. Like, I've mastered self-love, right? I've mastered that. There's nothing that anybody can say to me that's going to make me question who the fuck I am. I know exactly who the fuck I am every day. I'm a great father. I'm a role model. I help people out on a regular basis, bro. I am no different than you or anybody else. I'm not better than anybody except my version of my past self. Fuck that Chris guy. He's dead, right?
100%, yeah.
So if we can, so knowing that, what else do I need to change? Well, I need to master that emotion, that emotional battle, right? So not be so quick to react as to control the reaction of itself, right? That's a whole other part of it, right? So if we can, so it's funny you say that, because it is. Once you encompass all of that, the different versions of yourself, because we all listen. There's two sides to every coin, bro. As nice as I am, man, on the other side of that coin,
shift, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, I'll turn you into food and eat you if I have to. You know what I mean? Like there's two sides to those coins, right? So finding that balance within yourself is an amazing thing, man. And that's I think we get so caught up in superficial shit, like owning stuff, buying stuff, and that we forget that a lot of our answers that we have questions to are inside already. We just refuse to listen.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we said it. Hey, we're gonna open. We opened with it. We're gonna close with it.
Yeah.
Is that inner voice is usually the right one.
It's the right one, bro.
It's just having the bravery and the courage to actually listen.
To actually listen, dude.
So listen, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, dude. That was fun, bro.
It was a great time, guys. You know what? Today was, Christopher was amazing on this. We're talking about total recreation.
Yeah.
We're talking about the journey he went on and the journey that he's on. And I'm so excited to see where you go, brother. I wish you all the best and all the luck.
Appreciate you.
This podcast today is going to be a banger. So I'm so thankful for everybody that, jumped on. Is going to listen. Please share it. Continue to watch us grow. And we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Woo! Right on, bro. It was awesome.